Welcome to the For Me to You podcast. It's an opportunity for black people, mostly, though not exclusively, who have or may have cancer, families, communities get together to talk about it in a nuanced way, because it's different for everybody, but there's certain challenges that we have, and it was an opportunity to talk about them. So my name is Eddie Nestor.
And I'm Judith. I am the founder of From Me to You, The Art of Survival, and we are a black organisation that promotes health equity amongst the black community.
We're here because we're cancer survivors, but
Yeah.
Judy's not out of the woods yet. The only reason she's still alive is because she's wicked.
Eddie would have you believe that, but it's so not true.
Hold on. When they gave you the terminal diagnosis, didn't they offer you the opportunity to go into the hospice?
Yes, to inspire other people.
No, that's not what people don't go into the... And you didn't even do that, did you?
No, I have to admit, I didn't go into the hospital.
So they said to you, would you like to go into the hospital?
No, they did. They said to me,
would
I like to go? Because there's this whole myth, let's be honest, about that if you go amongst the community, if you go into a hospice, you don't come out.
It's not a myth. That's why it's called a hospice. That's what it is. It's for people
that
with
is a
their
myth. No.
What's a hospice?
It's a myth. It's not only about palliative care. In hospice, they have 24 hours around the clock doctors.
Yeah.
So actually, they are far more equipped to deal with pain management than actual hospitals at times. You know, so we need to get out of this thinking that if you go into hospice, you don't come out.
I'm going in there for better treatment. Who says that?
Well, nobody does, but we need to start saying that. We need to start saying that, because while we're not doing that, we're not accessing the help that we need. And I'm one of those people.
That's what's funny. You're advocating for something that you didn't have yourself.
No, because these were all things that I didn't understand at the beginning of my journey.
Right.
And that's why we're doing this, so that you understand and don't miss out on valuable treatment.
Yeah, you don't have to agree. You just have to talk. That's the thing. Let me ask you another one that I have to ask you. There are loads of questions I wanted to ask you, because your cancer journey was completely different to mine. I lost my hair when I had cancer. I could grow it back if I wanted to. In fact, on a serious note, my eyebrow has never grown back. So when people do come up to me and they say, you've only got one eyebrow, and I say, it's because I've got cancer, you really want to see the look on their face there. But how much hair I got is not important to me, as it is, I imagine, for a woman. And my mum always used to say to me, a woman's hair is her beauty.
I think, okay, you went
See?
there. All right, I'm going to be honest. I had a really bad experience with hair, and I'm not laughing. It's one of the few occasions I'm not going to laugh, because I think in our community we need to understand. I'm going to give you an example. When I was going through treatment, when it got really bad, I remember washing my hair, and as I was washing my hair, there was a lot of hair in the bath. And so I went, you know, you put your hands through your hair because you're thinking, what's that? And as I put my hands through my hair just came out. And I remember I just collapsed by the side of the bath. And I cried. I think that was worse than the diagnosis. But my point is that wasn't the worst thing. Because when you're going through cancer as a woman, it attacks your very identity of who you are. And are you attractive? You know, are you still desirable? And I know these are very vain things possibly, but you know, that's what we're brought up as. You know, as women, it's a part of our identity. And I decided that I wasn't going to go through that whole thing of losing my hair, you know, bit by bit. I was going to be in control of this, and I was just going to cut it off. So I went to the barbers, and I went to a black barber's because you go to your own, right? Because they understand the journey, yeah? And I walked in and I had a hat on, and I said to the guy, I was kind of like, and he looked at me and he went, so what? And that was his manner. And I said to him, I went, 1 second, like, I've got cancer in my hairs, you know, can you? And he just looked at me and he went, I can't do that. And he said it loudly. The men in the shop looked up and they looked down. And I have never felt so alone, isolated, and as ugly as I felt at that moment. And I think in our community, we need to understand that cancer is a common occurrence. And it's hard enough just having the diagnosis. But as a woman, when you're going through that, to be made to feel less than by the very people who are supposed to hold you up, I can't even put that into words. We need to have the conversation, and we need to be kinder, you know, because it's not a joke. I bet you didn't expect that when you said a prayer.
We're talking about cancer. You know what I mean? The darkest moments of my life. My way of dealing with it is different, which is why it's going to be fascinating to see the reaction. Because all I want to ask you is, haven't you got any brothers? Because you took yourself, your bright self. Have you ever been into a barber before?
Yeah.
Before that, have you been into a male barber to get your hair?
I was.
To get your, hold on. Have you been into the barber as a woman to get your hair cut?
I'm a very confident person.
You're answering a different question.
Yeah, I have.
So you've gone in, you had short hair and you went in to do
I've
what?
gone in and had the back, you know, when you've had haircuts at the front and it all fell down at the front, and at the back they shave up the back. I had that cut. I used to go into a barber's and sit down and let them cut my hair.
And had you been into this barber before?
No.
Ah.
But I didn't expect, it's a black barber's.
Well,
I'm a black woman.
Yeah, you're a
Show
black
me some love,
Hold
yeah?
on a minute, hold on. That's what I'm saying. Clearly you have never been into a barber. What love do you see? Let me give you an experience, right? And it isn't cancer, but the last time I went into a barber, and the barber's full and they're talking. And this is how long ago it was. Them time it was house party, high top things. Yes? Mm-hmm. So I've gone in and they've cut my hair. Ridley Road Market, Dorset, they've cut my hair. And I'm looking in the mirror afterwards and the guy from over there shouts out, don't worry, you don't look too bad. I've got a cousin that's uglier than you.
Sorry.
No, you have to worry. It shaped my life. It's not to do with cancer. I never went back into a barber again. My point is, he didn't get that because he was special. You got to feel it out. Where can I go? What can I do? You're right, of course. Everything you're right. We do have to be nicer. We have to be kinder to each other. That's why we're bringing on our next guest. She can, and I know she's listening. So she'll either be with me or she'll be with you. And if she wants to have an easy time on the podcast,
she'll be with me.
I'll be very hostile to her.
She's got to be on my side.
I think in those two stories, kind of, and you know, the way that I broadcast, I don't really want to know what's coming or what the person's going to say, because I think that the way you react, and it's clear to me that lots of women wear a cap, the skull cap, and for them the hair is a hugely important thing. Hopefully this conversation can initiate a debate, but my way is humour. And we have our first, apart from your daughter, which you haven't heard yet.
No, I haven't, because you chucked me out, you told me to go.
Yeah, because you have no place to be in there when I'm talking to your daughter. This lady now, I've been reading about her. She comes and tells me, what is it that you're going to ask me? Because I've never done this before. I felt like I was 15 again when she said that to me, that girl, when I was 15. Anyway, that's a different story. Glynis, Brewster, Nathan,
right?
From everything I've read and everything I heard, is a force to be reckoned with. We'll find out. An advocate for people to come forward to talk. In a way, this podcast could have been designed for her. So let's say, welcome to From Me to You podcast. Hello, lady.
Hello.
Glynis, welcome to the From Me or Us to You podcast. This is made for you. In the end, in a little while, I want you to tell me what a global kind of enabler is, or whatever it might be. Okay. A global community enabler. First of all, tell Judy about barbers. As a woman, you can't go into a barber without writing it down, going in with a prepared speech. Tell me your hair story.
Have you got a hair story? I don't have a hair story directly myself that's
you've got lovely hair.
With barbers.
Yeah.
I do have a hair story in that my hairline is starting to recede and I'm going to have to deal with that. But I felt irritated when I heard what you went through, but it also gave me some food for thought, because what I do in the community is to bring awareness around cancer. And I'm not just focused on, in this case, prostate cancer in the man. I'm focused on the entire family. So to hear that was your experience going into a barber, it tells me that when I go into barbers to speak to men about their risk, I also need to have a word or two with the barbers, that they need to behave themselves. What is that?
Yeah, I think there needs to be an awareness amongst, the men. I mean, most men understand, but especially in the community, that going through a cancer diagnosis is horrific in itself. Mm-hmm. As a woman, soul destroying, losing your hair is another thing again. So if someone comes to you, and I don't care what the issue, if someone comes to you in a moment of complete and utter vulnerability, just be kind. This is about just being humane, right?
Sadly, I don't think so. I think, and if anybody here has a barbershop, I'm very sorry, so I'm just going to say it as I think I see it, is that the barbershop is an income generator. So they're just in there to make money. It's a business. Well, and they're not concerned about exercising compassion. It's like, all right, you have a story, right? You come to cut your hair or not cut your hair? If you are, sit in that seat and let me do my job.
I'll tell you why I took that stance. You do have a point. Absolutely. It is a business, and I understand that. But I think what was so hard for me to accept it was because as I came out of that barbershop, because I came out in tears, I walked 5 feet down the road and there was a Turkish barber's. And that Turkish barber was standing outside smoking, and he looked and he went, "Are you okay?" And I kind of stopped and I went, "Not really, I wanted to get my hair cut." And he went, and I was like, and he looked at me and he went, "Are you not well?" And I said, "I've got cancer." And he went, "Come."
Beautiful.
And he just embraced me and went, "Come." And I said, "Oh," and he went, "Don't worry." He said, "Look, come, I'm going to sort this out." And he sat me in that chair. There were people in there, and he said, "Wait." Sat me in that chair and cut my hair. And then he looked at me afterwards and he went, as he finished, he went, "Beautiful." And in that second, I went from there, and I'm not saying I went to there, but at least I felt partly like a woman again, And so I wonder, both were businesses, both needed to earn, financially. Why was it a Turkish barber's that embraced me?
Yeah, and not your own.
And not my own.
Yeah.
That I found. And that, if it had just been coming out of the barber shop and that was it, then yes, I would, okay. Maybe, they're not just totally understand, it's a barber shop. But when you receive kindness from another community, you have to question that, right?
Yeah, and I would question it across the board. Sadly, it stands out for me as something across the board. in other discussions, in other spaces, I would put that in the same category as black on black violence. I would put that in the same category as black hate. I would put it in that category because it's deep and it can't kind of live together. But I'd also put it in the place of saying to black barbers, you want business or not? Because other people will take your business because you guys are handicapped. I know I would get into, what do you mean handicapped? You know, and then they will talk about their cuts and how good they are. So yeah, but that's not all it is. If it's business, I want to feel good. Everybody needs to feel good. And when someone comes here, how do you know what space they're in? Do you see what I mean? So it would go down there. So it would just, it also just highlights for me, Judith, as we're speaking, that as I do this job of raising awareness, you've just expanded the field so much, because it means almost giving people awareness around what could be happening with other people.
Absolutely.
When it comes to counseling. But when you tell somebody that you want to reach out and try to bring awareness, they often are thinking about individuals. They're not thinking as widely as community necessarily. And even when you think about community, there are so many ramifications. There's just so much to consider.
Absolutely, there are. And, you know, and I totally understand when you say that. But I think, you know, and I'm making it really simplistic. But this is about, if we're being, in my eyes, and I know I totally don't understand everything, but unification and in how we treat one another. And I think the conversation has to start somewhere. We have to start having the conversation with each other. I'm not saying I'm right, I'm not saying I'm wrong, but we definitely need to start at least having the conversation. And that's why I think this platform with you coming on it and us having this, it's not about a right way or wrong way. I maybe should have done my homework before I went into that barber's. You know, I should have realised it's a business and maybe come a bit more prepared. But that's something then that is about awareness in how I tackle things, you know.
So
and maybe there needs to be awareness in how they look at it. And that's about education. That's about us having people going out like yourself and, you know, providing empowerment, because once you know better, you do better. I'm sure after people listen to this, there will be barbers and they will think, well, I never saw it like that. For me, it was just about getting someone in and out of the chair as quickly, you know.
Well, certainly it will help me. The next time I do go into barbers, one of the first things I'll be asking them is, do you have a category that can come in here to get the service? And I know they're going to ask me, what do I mean? And I'll say, are you competent in here to deal with people who may have cancer? And however they take that, we're going to rumble with that before I get to the place of saying about their prostate health. Because you're a business. So it's almost like, you know, this idea of health and safety. If I walk into a barbershop or any shop, and when I walk in, there's water, there's stuff that could be dangerous, I'm thinking, hey, hang on, who is managing here? Because this is a health safety trap. I need to come out. And it's almost like saying that to them when I go in. So they might think, who is this woman coming here to ask me about my business? But I am a possible client. And I would tell everybody, do not come into this shop because you guys have no manners, for example. Don't come into this shop because you guys are whatever. And I would throw that at them. Hopefully that helps them to just stop for a minute. If they don't cuss me, well, and if they cuss me, so what? But it still means that nobody shouldn't come in here because you're not fit. You're not fit.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your background, Glynis?
Health. So for me, I am in health. I celebrated 50 years in health.
What does that mean?
It means that in 1974, I entered a class to become a state registered nurse. I did that in Trinidad. And moving on from that, I came to this country to do midwifery, health visiting, some psych nursing, before I left health in an institution, and I then went into things like counseling and training and so. But
Sorry to interrupt you guys. We're going to start that question again. And sorry, Glynis, could you not play with your chain? Because when you play with your chain, it lights on the camera.
I'm so sorry. It's your
Oh, it's this.
Yeah.
It's the other one. I think you
This
can
one?
just hear like the
I like this one.
Is this one? I think it's this
Or
one.
maybe
I
it's
might
that
have to take that one off you because
So if it doesn't make noise,
give
is that
it to me.
good? I can handle it.
I like that one. That's a nice one.
That's a shame. I know you really like to use your hands. I'm
Yeah, I
sorry.
do.
It's me. She wasn't using her hands when she was talking to Jude. It's me. I make her nervous.
Sorry? No, we'll keep rolling. Keep rolling.
Okay, so go back to the question.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
you relax. I've got you.
Okay.
And when you're ready.
What's your background, Glynis?
50 years ago, I went into a classroom in Trinidad to become a state registered nurse. And having completed that training, I then came back to England where I did midwifery, health visiting, some psych nursing before leaving health, I should say the institution of health, going into the community and working there, training to be a counsellor, a teacher. And then I thought I would take a break from health because it was
Damaging your health.
it was a bit irritating. There are things that, oh, that's one street, all right. There are things that they weren't looking as good as I would like it to look. It wasn't the nursing that I thought I was going into. So
Okay.
I came out.
My first proper job in acting was a nurse. I was staff nurse Cyril James for 3 series in a program called Casualty.
Oh, yeah.
That you may or may not have seen. That was in the 80s. But I was an SRN, but there was SEN at
That's
those
right.
days, wasn't there?
Yeah.
State enrolled nurse, state
Correct.
registered nurse.
Yeah.
And of course, the story now is it's got a lot more difficult because the bursary people have to pay for in this country, and we're seeing a shortage of nurses before that. Health always seems to me to be really obvious, and effective health it is almost the smaller it is, the smaller the community of people, the more you can tailor what you do towards them. What are some of the barriers? I did sense frustration at some points in your career. What are some of the barriers to effective health?
In the institution or out of it? When I
Well,
say
both. But I know what you mean.
Okay.
Both.
So in the institution has its way.
Yes.
And when you are employed by the institution, you have to follow their code of conduct, you have to follow their rules, even though you may feel different. So just me thinking back on some of the times that I've had to be alongside doctors, say in clinic, and not agreeing with something that
Give me an
my
example.
head nurse would want.
Give me an example.
So in a clinic and a client, a patient, outpatient is on a certain medication. And there is, somebody wants to change that medication. And the change of that medication is really down to the fact that the drug rep has come and sold the idea of improvement or some other medication. And that's why it's going to be changed.
Yeah, but I still, for people watching, I think I know what you're saying. But one of the things that we've tried to do, Jude and I, probably because Jude has had more drugs than anybody else, right? That we have to try and make it as easy as we can for people to understand. So let me tell you a story that might help you to say it without betraying any confidences, because I can hear you trying to work out what to say.
That's right.
Apart from being in casualty, I came to health as one of my issues when in Hackney, I could see a lot of the people that I went to school with were walking and their hands were staying in one place at the side. So one of the big signs, as you will know, of drugs for mental health is your arms don't move normally, they just hang. And when I did my investigations and asked questions, they told me that when you analysed a black man, he was always analysed with the potential for violence ergo given usually twice the dosage that a white guy would be given. So there was a clear, understood inequality, bias of treatment. That's when I came to it, and I was like, wow. So there's a lot of work being done with people like, I don't know, Lord Victor Adebowale, stuff to do with mental health. Because what police will tell you now is more of their time is taken up with dealing with issues of mental health than almost anything else, which is why they've had to pull back. So with that, hopefully that helps you to know that we understand a little bit about what you're saying, but we have to say it in a way that the people at home that might want to access some of the services that we're talking about can take something positive from it. So again, let me ask you, in terms of how people were treated, and I'm guessing you're talking about black people here.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah.
For the most part. What did you see and how impotent did you feel?
So I saw medication changed more based on the persuasion of the drug rep than the patient's condition.
On the basis of what?
On the basis of whatever was the conversation between doctor and drug rep.
But that goes on all the time.
Yeah, but it's still irritating to see it.
Okay, that's fair enough for that.
Because the client has been on whatever they're on, be it diabetes, be it mental health medication for time.
Yeah.
And they are, let me say, stable. So when they come in for their 3-month check or whatever check, and you tell them about changing, why? And many of them will ask, why are you changing it? I'm good on this. And then they get told whatever they get told. And they have no choice. Well, I think they have more choice now than before.
Sorry, can I cut in with you? Doesn't that go back to the fact that we know that black people are not engaging effectively with their healthcare plans, right? We know this because they're not. But isn't that if we empowered our community more, so to engage more effectively and feel more empowered to challenge, that if something happens, to actually know that, well, no, if you have a genuine query as to why your medication has changed, there are channels.
Yes,
there are appropriate channels that you can question.
Listen, I'm going to shut up in a minute, right? But I just want to say, the challenge that I have understanding what you're talking about is twofold. Firstly, as I understand it, quite often you have to take quite a few drugs before you find the one that works for you. Okay. So this might not be pertinent in this case, but I would like you to take it on board when you give your informed answer. The second thing when it comes to this is, in the last decade of my broadcasting, I've realized something that I feel bad about, is that particularly women, particularly black women, are not listened to when they go in. And it's a woman thing, but it's particularly a black woman thing, which is GPs who are sometimes also female will tell you about how you should be feeling, but you know that what they're telling you is not how you're feeling. How do people deal with the first one? Obviously, we have to try different drugs. But the second one speaks specifically, I think, to women for me.
Okay, so we have to try different drugs. So the doctor is going to prescribe what they think the condition warrants at the time. What I was speaking about is where that decision has been made and the person has been on medication and they have been doing well. But a change comes, and it is not based on the fact that the client or patient is no longer doing well. That's what I was speaking about. That's one of the things that irritated me.
Is there financial implication to it?
I can't say that because I've never seen it.
Right, okay.
But I know that the patient didn't have, they were not consulted. But having said that, let me put in very clearly that I told you it's 50 years I've been in health. And what I'm talking about is, I would say that this goes back to 80s, mid-80s.
And it could be very different.
It is different because it's a new thing to be told that the doctor would ask your opinion. Doctors weren't asking no opinion before. They were God. I say this and that's it.
I've noticed something that's slightly worried me, and I'd love to listen to the two of you talk about it. And it's that many times women go to the doctor and they're not believed, they're not listened to. And because somehow culturally, GPs in particular, healthcare workers in general, you don't question them. But they said, if we listen to GPs and healthcare workers, then Jude would be dead. She's not dead. They're not God. How do you, with any confidence, as a woman specifically, challenge a healthcare worker?
I think it's something that starts beforehand. I think we need to be taught that it's okay to challenge. And challenge does not mean war. I know the idea is that once a black person questions, we become violent, angry, all these things that they attach to us. We need to just leave that aside. That's people who don't know what they're talking about, and we just need to do us. And in the process of doing us, we need to ask. We need to ask what we need to know, and we need to feel okay about it, because we're really asking about ourselves. I mean, you're not asking the GP about his health. You're asking GP about your own health. So,
Absolutely.
but somebody has to give you permission, because culturally, maybe excluding here, but I think also here, we are taught to respect authority, and we are taught that, and we are actually taught that our doctors and our teachers know everything. So, as parents and grandparents would say, what do you know? You're asking the doctor, what do you know? And it challenged even our ability to ask the question.
You know how you feel.
Certainly do.
Absolutely, and we are we are the masters of ourselves. We're the authors of ourselves, right? We know what works for us and what doesn't work for us. So whether you're being told, and this is what I've always gone on, whether you can be told 101 things about yourself, you know the truth, and if it doesn't feel right, you need to follow through with that. You need to question that. And I said it again, I think Errol said it yesterday. You know, when it's your car, if you're not sure about what someone at a garage says, you go to about 5 different garages because it's your car. Yeah. You know, you're not going to stop at the first. Well, how much more valuable is your life than a car? So why then do we feel, that it's not right to question somebody on the most precious thing that we have?
I think that's a leap, Judith. That's a leap.
I don't think it is. I mean, it's what's important. We are important.
Yes, we are. But when we have been taught not to question,
absolutely,
it's quite a leap to get to a place where we question.
But then that's why we should be, from my perspective, we need to be empowered. We need to have organisations actually empowering the community to go out and ask these questions. They say to us all of the time, the NHS is person-centred. So that means, as a person-centred means you lead, the client leads. Well, that's not happening because we're not feeling empowered. It's been about for as long as I can remember, person-centred.
Person-centred, the NHS?
Yeah,
that's new.
I don't know how new is new.
I don't know, maybe 10, 15,
okay, so 10 to 20 years possibly, but that's still quite a while.
Yeah, but what has happened on the other side? So for example, you have the NHS, the doctor saying person-centred, but if the person coming to you doesn't even know what that means, then...
But that's to do with education, right? And that goes back to the age-old thing of, they're saying we need to engage more, we need to access these services. Well, actually, if you don't feel empowered enough to do so, or you don't have the knowledge in relation to that, how do you do that? And that's about the NHS, large health organisations investing in the community, investing in people who are from the community to go back into the community and to take that message, because the whole thing is somebody who's from without the community you don't understand the nuances, you know,
so.
and you're not going to be effective. And we know that because for the last how many years, decades, it hasn't worked.
It hasn't.
So surely they need to try something new now, right? Working with people like yourself to take the message into the community. Why aren't we doing that?
That's big picture stuff. So whilst I will never negate the kind of macro, the micro is, I am, and I'm going to stay with women for a minute, I feel this, the doctor is telling me it's this, what can I do?
So I can ask for clarity about it. I can ask, doctor, what do you mean? What is this? How does this work? Why me? I can ask those sort of questions, which often people do ask.
Well, what do you do when that doesn't happen? When you ask the question and you're batted to the side, and you don't really need to understand that. You don't really, look, we know best, just trust us.
Yeah.
What happens then? What do you do then?
What does the individual do?
Yeah, what do they do?
I would say, as I do say to people that I'm working with, when you don't get an answer from the doctor and you come away, you need to call us, or you need to reach out to an organization that is advocating, because there are organizations that are advocating in the community, and that organization will help you to be heard, or even help your question to be heard. Sometimes the question is taken as an affront, as if you're questioning my expertise, and that's not what is happening. It is a feeling of despair, of saying, somebody help me to understand what this is.
Absolutely, and we need to be empowered to realise that it's not a dirty word to say, I want a second opinion.
I don't know that people think it's a dirty thing. I think that people quite often don't know they're allowed to do it.
I think some people do as well.
Yeah, but because it's
awkward.
It's changing over. You know, we can look at this period of time, 2000 to now, in isolation. It's not. It came out of the 1990s. So it's a bridge. So what happened over the bridge? And if we look back, so I'm a grandmother. I'm a grandmother to grown children. If I look at things that I said to my children, what do I say to my grandchildren that's different? Because they are growing up definitely in a different world. The way they engage,
For sure.
society is different. But if I keep saying to my grandchildren exactly what I said to my children, I am not providing that bridge. And I am able to do it because I have worked in the system, I've understood the system. But that's a plus for my family. Not all families are like that.
Exactly.
So they just don't know. So they, for the most part, don't want to stir trouble. So they will say to their grandchildren, like they said to their children, don't cause no fuss.
Absolutely.
If that's what the doctor said, just do it. And they would go down that line, as opposed to saying, oh, that's it. Oh, well, if you don't understand, darling, why not ask? Why not go back? Ask mommy or daddy or a friend or someone to go with you and make another appointment and go back.
Do you know what? And what you've just said makes me really angry. You know, it makes me angry that we are in fear. I remember going when I had cancer, I received my diagnosis. And, you know, my life's on the, well, it's on the line. I'm being told I'm going to lose it. If you don't ask questions then, well then when do you? And I went with my mum, and I remember my mum sitting there next to me, and I went to her, as I do, she went, Judy, shh, these people, she went to me, be quiet. And I said, yeah, she did. Yeah. And I said, Mama, I need to know. And she looked at me and she said, Judy, these people, they've got your life in their hands. Shh. And it was that, and that's horrific. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
And my mum's not, you know, my mum's a really strong woman. But to see her, and she needed those answers as much as I did, but the fear, we need to tackle that.
But what she said to you, these people have your life in their hands.
Yeah.
That is, you know, when we talk about mistrust, it can sound very superficial, but mistrust is deep.
Absolutely.
And the work I'm doing in the community, it just brings it home so loud that while some people think that men, in this case, because just working with the prostate cancer, don't care. They don't care about their health. They don't care about this. It's like, would you just shut up? That's not true.
Yeah, thank you.
They're just
Thank you.
struggling to trust you to even start to have a conversation.
Thank you.
Do they trust you more than they trust society?
They trust me after they check me out. So check me out being, who are you working for? So they want to know. It's almost like...
Who sent you? Your
who sent you?
government agent.
That's right. That's right. So you see, it's distrust of the system. And when I say to them, you don't be asking me my business. And they say, so, but you want to ask me mine? I said, no, I'm only joking.
That's
but
right.
really and truly, I've come because I'm talking to you about prostate cancer. You know how many granddaughters I have? And it's like, what's that got to do with it? I said, I have 6 granddaughters. If I don't mind your business, where are my granddaughters finding a husband? And it's like, all right.
It's a joke. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you do have a sense of humour?
I'd like to think so. But that it's going in there. I have to go there to personalize it. You know? I said,
lots of the things you're talking about
where-
How did that work during COVID?
no, I wasn't doing this during COVID.
Right. See, because it's really interesting. Those inequalities in health, the outcomes. I got called more than I got called as a voice for people, because we've never been put front and center of the health service before. So how comes all of a sudden that we were? When they were showing pictures of the people that were dying, they were never people like us, and yet we were the first people that were dying. So in the way that it was portrayed and the way that it was taken, or not, as the case may be, it did really, as I said, I was talking to public health in London, and it's a lot worse, I think, than they believed it was.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Who's taking what, who can get what, who can access what, what's in it for me, why do you come? Do you believe then that these outreach services, so blood pressure in the car park of the supermarket, you're an advocate for that kind of thing, are you?
I am. I'm an advocate for it to come away from health institutions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's more convenient. Listen, if the system still wants to keep doing 9 to 5, like when I speak to some men, they say to me, Ma, tell me, how I go into the doctor? My workplace is X to Y. I'm on 0 contract. Anytime I take out this, I'm not getting paid for it.
That's right.
Right? All of these things are behind it.
But that was COVID too. You're telling me to stay at home, but I'm cleaning.
Yeah.
And you don't want to give me the little change that you're giving everybody else.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. These things are real.
Yeah.
And I think that it might not be moving at the pace that many people would like it to be moved, but it feels to me that there's a recognition that we need to build some bridges here.
Absolutely. And it's actually, you just hit on something. It's not just, health is not just about health inequalities. It's about how it affects us economically and socially. It stems over into everything. So unless we tackle this from a holistic viewpoint as well, I just think, well, how far are we going to get? You know, it's good that we're looking at it. It's good that we're having the conversations. It's good that we've got initiatives and we're doing that. But we also need to look at other areas, because like you've just said, you hit the nail on the head. How do you go for an appointment when you're on a 0-hour contract and it's a choice between your health and feeding your children? Yeah. It's a no-brainer.
You're not going to the appointment.
You're not going, you know.
The appointment's got to come to you.
Exactly. So I think, you know, these organisations need to start actually realising.
Well, the one good thing that comes from adversity, tell me if I'm wrong, is that you're not going to get rid of a 7.5 million backlog by doing procedures in the hospital. You're going to have to get out. You're going to have to carry out some of those procedures in communities. Otherwise you won't get that number down, will you?
That's what it sounds like. But you know that there are some within our community who will say, well, that's what they want. They want to kill us up anyway.
Well, I know, but the mistrust and the lack of communication breeds a place where, and I'm not saying it's wrong, but certainly a paranoia can live, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's why we need to invest in ourselves.
We need to talk.
Well, we need to talk, and again, you know, I know Eddie thinks that I'm sounding like a parrot because I keep saying the same thing, but come to the community, work with people like yourself to take that message into the community. We've seen what happened with Bain. It wasn't fit for purpose. Why? Because they collected the information, we were not involved in the process or delivery, and then like Chinese whispers, Totally wrong. Not only were we then not seen, we weren't even heard either. You know, we became faceless and nameless. So I really think
But
it's
is it
about
really
having the
case that
conversation
they
with us.
don't consult with us? Is it really that they don't?
It's
Just
not
for
about
my-
consulting. They consult. We've been telling our stories for decades. Yeah, that's not the issue. It's about, after the consultation, who works out, well, how do we deliver that message into the community?
But there
What's
are
that
places.
process? Right, there are. But how many of us are involved in that conversation of how it's rolled out to the community? How many of us? And maybe that's what it's, you know, we're not.
If, as somebody who is doing it, what one thing would you like to see changed, adapted, or whatever, in order to make some of the people who are more challenging to reach able to access services and to use the services that they do? What's something that you would like to see?
Something change or something that is actually
Something
introduced into the system?
implemented that causes a change.
I think we have to look, and when I say we, I mean generally.
Yes.
Okay. We need to look at how we can pick people in the society to be a strengthener of the community. So for me, my organization is called Global Community Enablers. And I've chosen enablers because I believe in the community, in society, there are what I call golden nuggets of who are people. They are in the community, they are very powerful, and if you can engage them, they can impact a community that
Other
you know,
people won't get
institutions can't reach.
Well, we have them on social media, don't we? They're called
influencers.
They're called influencers. And it's
Yes.
really interesting when they talk about influencers. People think influencers have 500,000 followers.
That's
But there are
right.
these things called super influencers. And they only have 10,000 followers, let's say. But the engagement, which is the word they use on social media, is at like 70%. Which, you know, which means that people who listen to you, come back to you, talk to you. How would you identify? I agree, there are warlords in Iraq, and there are people who are sages, priests, vicars. There are all sorts of people who are pillars of community, right? How you engage them?
It's interesting you asked that. During COVID, one of my gran encouraged me to set up a social media page because they said that people, Gen Zs and other young people don't have people to talk them through that. And I set up, or they set up this page for me called Grandma, Chatting with Grandma. And I did some videos, and I was really shocked to see the engagement. Because I'm old school. I know to sit and talk to you or talk to somebody, but talking to this phone, it don't feel good. I don't, you know, it's not my go-to. And it's because I like to engage people. So when I just talk, I'm just talking. But when someone then is it DM? Direct message me and says, Grandma, and then ask the question or say whatever, I am able then to engage that person.
I think it's a brilliant idea. I think that part of the challenge, and it's great having you on because we've not done this, is that when I was younger, I could remember my national insurance number, my bank account number, my girlfriend's number, everybody's number was all in my head. Yes, the first number, 0208 or 08 as it was there, and it was 8065548. It's defunct now, but that was my auntie's number. Now, I don't remember a single number. I have a child, and if I lose my phone, I can't phone my child. I think as times changes, ways of communicating messages change. And I think you on there, and the way to do it might be that somebody, Judith, whoever, is reading the message that comes in the DM. Here's a message sent by Eddie. My girlfriend doesn't love me, and whatever it might be.
Yeah.
agony aunt, they would have been called in the old days, wouldn't they?
Yes, I
You
remember.
remember Claire?
Yeah.
Remember
Yes.
them people
Yeah.
there? We get the paper
Yeah.
and we go and look at the problem page.
Yes.
I think you should carry on doing it. If you stopped, I think you should do it again, because here is a nice, quick and easy place for somebody to go and listen to advice from somebody they trust.
Okay. I will let my grand know that.
Marjorie, you remember Marjorie?
Yes.
Well,
I
you
do
remember Claire, you remember what?
Yeah,
Why do you
sure.
think that was, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a different way of doing. Why do you think
yeah.
they were so successful?
Yeah.
I
And
don't
to-
know
and
Marjorie,
to-
you know Marjorie?
I don't know her.
But Claire
Marjorie
was a
Proops.
nurse too, wasn't it?
Marjorie Proops, Daily Mirror.
Marjorie Proops was Daily Mirror
Yeah, I used
and
to
Claire
watch
was
her.
the son. But Claire's history was as a nurse.
Okay. And that makes a lot of sense, because it's the personal thing. I've asked people, you know, this new thing now, what, upscaling or up whatever, and I've asked somebody, so in what I do in terms of reaching people, because men are dying, 1 in 4 men dying from our black community is not a joke. That's another COVID. That's crazy. We can't afford that. I said, okay, so upscaling to reach more people more quickly, what would you advise? And the guy asked me, well, what do you do? And I told him, he said, I'm sorry. He said, the way you do what you do, can't upscale it. Because if you digitalize it, you get the same results that they're getting while you have the problem. But when you can speak to people, that's what does it. So you're just going to have to talk
Well,
to
I
people.
don't know if I agree with that.
Don't know.
I
That
think
means you
there's a
have an
way to
expertise.
tackle
I
that.
don't know if no,
I
no,
think it's a really great
my job
concept.
is communication. That's
Okay.
my job. That's the
Yeah.
only thing I can do. Like
Okay.
if you ask me to put a nail in focus or thing, I can't do it. In my house, my wife puts it. I can build you the catalogue from Costco, right? But I don't need all the screws that they put in there. Or all
Right.
the washers. I build it. It'll fall down in a minute. If she lays it out 1 to 5 and whatever. They're all, reaching people is important. But you're not going to reach them if you're trying to reach them in the way that you were in 1980.
But when you reach them, can they reach you back?
Well, we'll work it out that you can. If you need to go in the bookie shop, then you need to go in the bookie shop.
And I do.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And what they might do is they might not talk to you when there's 8 other people around, but if they know where to reach you, because you're down the road, say, look, I'm here Tuesday to Thursday, 1 to 2,
What would you-
Richmond. Because in that group that you've got, the prostate cancer, they didn't start talking, and then now they can't stop talking, right?
No, that's right. But I'm just looking at your time. Because if you're answering everybody, you know, like individually, that's a lot of time.
Right. But
Running
you
an
need to be more like
organisation.
me.
Yeah, absolutely.
More
So
like
maybe
me.
the way you need to do that is to bring on more older, you know,
Enablers. I call them
enablers, yeah, enablers,
Yeah.
people who
Did you
can
just
do
call
that.
Your guest old?
Sorry?
Did you just call your guest old?
No.
You said bring on more old.
Sorry, same age as us, same age as me, mature. Why are you always trying? Do you know what? I feel like I go to walk and Eddie just gets it and says, "Let her walk into that. Let her
listen
just
to him.
fall down."
Listen, let me let you know something about my older me. I have reached this precious age of being old age. I am an elder in my community.
And that's
He is
amazing.
not taking that from me. I don't want to be younger. I'm sitting proud as an elder in my community.
Well, then do me a
so
favour.
it's okay if I'm old.
Do me a favour.
You know what? After I got my sorry, I'm going to cut him out
Don't
of the
listen to him,
conversation.
yeah.
Don't listen to him. After I got my diagnosis, I realised, and I never got it before, that getting to an older age is a gift
For
from
sure.
God. You know,
Yes, it is.
very few of us are making it.
Thank you.
So we need to champion that. So
For
he
sure.
leave him when he makes it.
You do me a favour. I do it because my head would blow up and I can't live in that world. That's for you lot. I'll have to be in and out, happy. I'm a Gemini. And you know we're the greatest star in the zodiac system. Do me a
I know
favour.
some people think so, yeah.
Ma,
Yes.
just talk to the people watching the podcast.
Okay.
With your 50 years plus experience in nursing, it can be about survival, it can be about taking care of yourself, it can be about where or how to access information.
Also, please put your details there because I think there are a lot of people.
Global Community
who wanna
Enabler.
reach
I
out
heard
to you.
her.
Okay.
And I have
Can you tell him off?
I have an Instagram platform.
What's the
It's
name
called
of it?
GCE.
GCE.
GCE
I got my
Enablers.
phone.
And I can give a phone number, but I'm not so sure if that's the
We'll
best
do
way
it.
to do it.
If they
You
want
do?
you, they'll come to you.
You do.
So,
Right,
but
okay.
do me a favour, because it's the way
To say something
This
to
is the
them.
way we end all of them, because
Okay.
we're truly grateful for you coming in
Okay.
and coming on. We appreciate what you do. I would like you to take a moment to give a message directly to the people who are watching this in your attempt, in your hope, in your wish for us to have better, healthier and longer lives.
And your art of survival.
Okay. Okay, let me, as we come to the end of this, what do I want to leave you with, I suppose, is what I'm thinking. And what I want to leave you with is, everybody knows that health is precious, but health is also our right. I think that's what motivates me. That's my passion, that we have the right to be healthy. It is our right. And therefore, if I have to ask you 10 questions, then so be it, because it's my right. And if I can't ask you those 10 questions and get the answers I want, then I'm looking for whoever is your boss or whoever, because it is my right. And if you have to take somebody else with you, then you take somebody else with you, whoever that person is, that will give you the support to ask the questions, to get the answers you need. And when you are given a way to deal with it, you have the right to ask questions there as well. Because it's understanding the situation. It's understanding that I don't care what sickness you have or you've been told you have, I challenge you that you are the only person that has that. That's one of the things that it disarms us. When we think we are the only one, and I think especially for cancer, I've lived through the time when you wouldn't even say the word. It would be the C word.
Yeah.
Because it's so taboo to have it. Not realizing that on your street, there's another 10% of people that has the same thing.
Yes.
And that creates a different level of fear. It's very similar to HIV. If you remember what HIV was like, it's like, what if you have HIV and not sitting on the same chair and not touching the same, and then to realize that's nonsense. It's absolute rubbish. So just remember that whatever it is you're told you have every right to ask about it. And you also know that you are not the only person with it. So because you're not the only one, where are the others? And somebody knows where the others are, be it your GP or some other group that's in society. They know where other people similar to you are. And you know the idea that there is strength in numbers? When you go and you connect with those people who are having a similar experience to you, you will find that you will become strengthened to be able to deal with your situation. You will find information that maybe you were trying to ask a health professional who didn't really know anyway, but you find out that information in your group. And it makes the journey that you're going to have with that illness so much easier, because you have the right. You have the right to enjoy life while you're here. I mean, all of us are going to go. It doesn't matter how much money we have and how much power we have. But while we're here, we have the right to enjoy life. It's God-given. And God don't have any stepchildren. So you know what? You have the right.
Thank you.
Thank you, that was
It's a
beautiful.
lovely way to
Thank you.
end what I hope is the first series of From Me to You. Judy, do you have a takeaway, something that you would like people to know from what we've learned over the last 6 episodes?
First of all, let me say that I'm just overwhelmed by the guests that we have had on. I'm overwhelmed by the amount of people who are engaging in the community and who are actively, every day, sacrificing and making a difference to our community. You touch my heart. And it gives me hope. And hope is something that when I was diagnosed and I found out about the huge inequalities, you know, out there that I didn't have very much of. And I think we know that I started this journey probably from a place of anger and frustration. But I have to say that I'm not ending it. But I'm midway now and I have so much hope. So that's what I would take from this. Hope for the future, hope for change, and just a great love for the people from our community, 2 of whom are sitting here, because you guys inspire me every day. And for the people that are here, that can't see the people around us, we have so many great people in the room that you're not even seeing that have put this together. And there is so much love in the community. We need to show more of it.
I think it's obvious to me that when you try to do something to help people, lots of other people come forward as well. I think they only have to know that they're allowed to, and there are other people who do it. And that's part of what we've learnt through this. There are so many angles that I would love to have covered that we didn't cover. Maybe, hopefully, with the grace of God, we could come back, find different people, do more things. You need to keep the conversation going. It's a pain by a lot of the people that have been visited, that has been visited, in order to enable people at home who are going through it or who may go through it to understand, not just with cancer, but in health in generally. Often there are things you can do. We didn't talk enough about the number of people who have changed their diet and what they've changed their diet to, and how we can help people do that, because food is a big part of what we're doing. We haven't talked enough about maybe things that we could do. Certainly when I went through cancer, the mental side of it was terrible for me. I had to go through a whole retraining of allowing myself to be happy. Also, when you have a cancer that somebody else you know and love has, and they die, and you don't, like with my brother, it's like the guilt that you have over it. So hopefully there's lots of food for thought and places to go. Just like to say thank you to Julie for allowing me to come onto your podcast and help you and work with it, and all the people that have worked on it. God bless you. Please keep talking, because like our esteemed guest, Ma Glynis said, you oftentimes think that you're the only person going through something, and unless you talk, until you talk, you won't find out there are lots of people doing exactly what you're doing. God bless. Take it easy. From me to you, from us to you. Until next time.
Thank you.